It's Sunday morning. The Ironman 70.3 World Championships in Lahti, Finland just happened last night, and I stayed until like midnight to watch, but then I got too tired and needed to get some rest for this long run this morning, but it was pretty exciting to watch. All three Germans podiumed, the top three. That was pretty interesting. I didn't know that Mathis was gonna fall off that bad. It was Rico Bogan, Fred Funk, and Jan Stratman for the top three in the male. I just have to go back and watch the run again. I've watched most of the swim and the halfway on the bike last night. Yeah, it was crazy, but gotta prepare for this long run. Okay. For breakfast today, the bread, but when I come home from the run, I'm gonna have my second breakfast. What's more impressive, I think, Mark Dubrick went from 20th to 8th and had a phenomenal run at the 70.3 World. Yeah, it's just so inspiring that I just can't wait to get out on this run, feel the vibe, and just keep working hard that one day I'll make it to the World Championship. On tap today, I have a 1.5 hour run. Very steady, very aerobic, nothing hard. 1 hour bike and 30-minute swim with a 30-minute mobility. So last day of the week, Sunday, and then rest day tomorrow with some mobility and maybe some swimming and biking. 12-mile run in 1 hour 32 minutes. Now a little bagel before I go biking. It is getting pretty hot here in California, so gotta get my workouts done early. This is my Diamond Carbide, which I just set up, and this is the bike's first ride. I'm very excited to test it out, and should be pretty interesting with the gear setup, the tire choice, the gravel. So let's go ride. So I have the 48 tooth in the front and 1050 cassette, and a whole big range of gear. So let's say I'm cycling at 95 RPM and I downshift, then I might go to like 82 RPM. There's like a big difference, but so far the bike works and I love it. After watching the rest of the highlights and clips from the 70.3 World Champs this morning, there's a couple of takeaways that I can personally take away from that can help me qualify for next year's World Champ in 2024, 70.3, which will be in New Zealand, and that should be an exciting trip, and that is my dream to qualify. So let me break this down: swim, bike, run. First, the swim. The swim was very aggressive at the start, and you can see the front pack just swimming off, and there wasn't really that separation. I think there was 14 people that came out together in the first group, so it was pretty strung out, but the top three podium of the 70.3 World Champs came from that first group. So I think now you have to be a good swimmer, because there's going to be very motivated people pushing the bike and trying to hold off the good runners on the run. Number one, you have to be a good swimmer, not a decent swimmer anymore. It's very hard for like guys like Sam Long and Lionel Sanders to catch up to the top people in that front swim pack. Number two, the bike. Transition was pretty quick, so you have to have a very fast transition, get into the groove of the bike and get in the group so you can legally draft. And a lot of people were wearing the calf sleeve, aero calf sleeve, putting something down their shirt, their jersey, for aerodynamic reasons. So these tiny details are going to be what matters when it comes down to how fast you're going on the bike. And there's a couple things that we'll talk about later in this video that I can learn from and try for the bike. And I do plan on doing some aero testing before 70.3 Indian Wells this December, so I can see the best setup, what position I can try to hold for 2 hours on the bike, and just practice holding that position after a very hard swim, and then seeing if I can run pretty hard after that. The front group of the bike did work pretty well. There were Fred Funk was leading for most of it, Mathis Margerier, sorry if I mispronounced that name, but there was a good pack of people, and they were actually separating from Lionel Sanders and Sam Long, probably two of the best bikers in the field. And I was pretty surprised the time gap was going up, and I think it went all the way up to almost 3 minutes from the first guy getting off the bike. So you have to be a very strong biker, very motivated, learn how to not get a penalty when you're in a group, and just push really hard. And when it comes to number three, the run, you have to run sub 5:30 pace, or I think in kilometers that's sub 3:25, 3:30 per kilometer pace to win a world championship, to win an Ironman race. So that's the goal, to hit my tempo runs at least 5:30 this next couple weeks, next couple months, and just keep running. I think since I started pretty late back just 3 years ago, just have to keep running and keep consistent and just don't get injured. The winner, Rico, he ran a 3:20 minute per kilometer pace, and that's what it takes to win a world championship. So very inspiring, very motivating to watch the whole thing unfold. And yeah, I'm pretty surprised with the results. I was hoping to see like Lionel Sanders or one of these big names that everyone knows in the top 3, but we always love a good underdog taking the win and rounding out the podium. So there's one thing on the bike that there's so many variables out there. You're biking right after a very hard swim. Your heart rate is probably 95% of your max, and you're pretty much going all out the first couple minutes, and there's flat tires, drafting in the group, a drop chain, mechanical. But there's one thing I'm comfortable sharing with you guys is the CDA, which is the coefficient of drag. And here we have a best bike split data from my 70.3 Waco bike course last year. I went a 2:07, which was a pretty fast split for me at the time, with a normalized power of 285. And you can see here we have the map, which has a couple of turns, while the 70.3 course, it has a bit more turns, U-turn, 90-degree turns. So the Indian Wells course is going to be a lot of getting threshold, turning, and then going to VO2, pushing, and then going back to threshold effort. So a lot of surges on the power. But from the best bike split, we can see that my coefficient of drag is 0.2383. Now, with that same coefficient of drag, and I push, let's say 290 watts, it'll get me a low 2 hours, 7 minutes. So just a 5 watt difference. If I push 300 watts, we can see my time, 2 hours, 5 minutes. And then 315 watts, 2 hours, 3 minutes with the same CDA. So this best bike split calculates your data from your past training rides and calculate the CDA and just compares it on for different courses. Now, you know, rain, wind, all that changes, but this is just approximate. But if we have a CDA of 0.2000, which is low but not the lowest, Remco Evenepoel has a CDA, I think, of 0.16. Very low, but he does not have to swim before and run after, and he's in this very tight aerodynamic position for 45-50 minutes, while this is a 2-hour race out of 3 hour 30, 3 hour 45 minutes. 0.200 with the same watt I pushed last year at Waco, 286, I get a time of 2 hours flat. Now we can see here, just for me, getting my position lower or more aerodynamic with a reduced CDA gets a faster time while pushing the same watts. Now, I may be like lower or more crunched up to get into this aerodynamic, but if I push the same watt, I would be a lot faster than if I pushed 300, 315 watts. So the goal here is to test different things out. I do have a CDA equipment that I will be using. We're gonna do some testing, and that is how I will save energy, save watts, so I can have a very good run. And at the 70.3 World Championship race, the winner, Rico, I don't think he took any pulls at the front. So what he did was smart. He just sat in the group, just enjoyed the draft. You still have to be pushing power to stay in that group, but enjoying the draft, get as much energy, save as much energy as he could, and then off the run, he was pretty strong. So the name of the game is to conserve as much energy while going fast on the bike, and then release all your mighty power on the run. So that's the goal. I still have to work on the bike in a run. Yeah, I'm pretty excited. Every day I get to wake up and a challenge present, I accept, and looking forward to a good prep for Ironman 70.3 Indian Wells, December 3rd.